Hey friends, and welcome to the Mom Sweat Sanity Podcast. I'm Brittany, accountability coach for women who know they're made for more. This is a space where ambition meets real life, where we talk fitness, family, personal growth, leadership, and all the what the hell is happening right now moments in between. Around here, we don't chase perfection. We build momentum. We push comfort zones, ask better questions, and take real action on the goals that matter most. Each week, you'll hear honest conversations, powerful guests, and grounded reminders that you don't have to choose between showing up for your life and going after your potential. So whether you're walking, sweating, driving, or hiding in your car for 5 quiet minutes, you're in the right place. This is your permission to stop playing small in your own life. Let's get into it. Okay, well, I am so excited for today's conversation. It is one I've been really looking forward to. We're talking about connection, motherhood, and the quiet longing so many women carry. And we're looking for something more real. My guest today is Emily Shimwell, the founder of Dine Wilder, a brand and a movement, I'm going to say, built around the belief that connection is the new luxury. This isn't just a conversation about events or business. It's about motherhood, loneliness, belonging, identity, and what really happens when women finally slow down enough to see and be seen. So, Emily, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited as well.
Thank you. Before we dive in, I'd love you to introduce yourself in your own words, who you are, where you're from, and what brings you to this work that you do.
I'm Emily, and I always lead with just saying I'm obsessed with strangers, completely and utterly obsessed with people and strangers and storytelling and people from very varied walks of life, just offloading on me their wildest stories and desires and where they come from and what lights them up, and just like taking them out of their doing for a minute. And so I realized that I just am this way and go out in the world every day, stopping strangers and speaking to them and asking to get to know them. And so my penny drop moment was, well, I just need to get paid to speak to strangers. And there was born Dine Wilder. I'm from North Yorkshire, where my mum is massively into hosting in a very imperfect way. I meet a lot of people who tell me they love hosting, their parents grew up hosting, and when I see a snapshot of their world, it looks so much more perfect than what I know to be hosting. Ours was always centered around the people. And the food and the beauty of it was the vehicle and almost an afterthought. Like it was all just about, it doesn't matter that we're in the middle of moving house and everything's in boxes and we have no furniture. We'll still host, like come and sit on the floor and bring a cushion. On Christmas Day, we would have the milkman and the window cleaner and all of the local people who had nowhere else to go. So now I have this beautiful long table dinner series where I'm leaning into the beauty and accepting it is allowed to look a certain way as well. So we're combining both, but at its core, I just care about people.
Oh my gosh. I resonate so much with what you are saying, and people, yes, like the art of connection and just being instead of having to do all the time. And I feel like maybe what you're also saying is the do is how it should look, opposed to just being in that environment and bringing all of these people around to have beautiful conversations with.
I think it stops us from gathering so frequently. And even in the last year, I noticed that I've done this too. Now this is my profession. I have stopped being as available for the very spontaneous gatherings because I'm at so many perfect events all the time. On a weekend, I've become a little bit more insular with my kids and my family because I've hosted all week. So at the weekend, I thought it's been too long. So I just did an open door policy. Everyone just walk in, don't knock, bring whatever you want. I'm providing nothing. And here's the venue. And you know what? We had the best time. It was the most random group of women. And it took me back to my roots of before Dine Wilder. There was maybe 17, 20 of us. Nobody had met. It's just the most fun. You know, where you fall off the couch because you're crying, laughing so much with strangers. And I was just bringing everyone together and connecting everybody for no real purpose. And I think it made everyone take a bit of an exhale and say, God, we're skipping hosting because we think the house needs to be tidy and the kids need to be in bed and we need to look a certain way and wash our hair and have the beautiful napkins and all of these things. And it just kind of brought us back to our roots. And everyone was sat on the floor. No one even wanted any furniture.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Like giving them the permission just to connect and be, right?
And just say up front, tonight I'm the hostess with the leastess. Come and have a good time. And that's what we did.
I love that. I see for years I hosted what I called Mom's Club. And so this is kind of where my group now comes from. But Mom's Club was basically we would meet once a month and come, bring a friend, bring someone that no one knows either, just bring in a community of, you know, the commonality there was moms so that we all had something to chat about and whatnot. But yeah, the imperfectness of just bringing people together and realizing we all have so much more in common that we often think, and we also often feel like we're alone in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I was, without realizing, starting to feel the pressure of this perfect looking brand and then new friends I'd met along the way, inviting them over. I felt like it needed to look perfect, and that's actually not me. So we're going back 18 months when everyone knew that the garlic bread was going to be burnt and that I wouldn't have anything ready.
I love it. Yes, perfect. So let's go back. When did you come to Vancouver? What does that look like? What made you make the move here?
I left the UK in 2013 when I was 18 or 19. My husband found out that he had a granddad in Australia, so we went to go and get to know this granddad. And long story short, we started a travel blog and we became obsessed with city hopping. And so we would move places every 3 or so months, and then we would save so much in 3 months that we could be off for 6 months. And so we started a blog called Work in the World when, you know, it was cool. Or maybe it wasn't. And I became obsessed with helping people move cities and start a new life and all the nitty gritty of it, like the SIN numbers and the bank accounts and finding a job and just like going and putting yourself out there in person, all the while working in hospitality in very random situations during the day. So we did that for quite a few years. And then in 2016, I was managing a cafe in Perth. And I was the only person with a set of keys for this cafe. The owner had left the country for a year. And I cleaned the floors the night before. They were immaculate. The next day at 5 a.m., I went to receive the bread delivery. And on the floor was an embroidered maple leaf. And so I called Dean, woke him up. We just started the process for our Australian residency and paid quite a bit of money for it. And I said, you won't believe it. I found a maple leaf on the floor. And he was like, oh, no. No, I know where this is going. We're not going to Canada. We're staying here with my granddad. Long story short, we ended up coming to Canada. It all just worked out. So we did an open house. We had this beautiful 4-bedroom house in Australia. We sold everything in like an hour and a half on Facebook.
Oh my!
And came straight to Canada and landed in Vancouver in October of 2016. So it's coming up 10 years that we've been here. And then in 2019, moved up to Squamish.
Have you always been one to trust that intuition, trust your inner knowing?
Yeah, completely. And it's almost, I know there's a lot of talk about this at the moment, about leaning into your intuition. I don't want to take credit for doing that because there's never enough time between the feeling and any thought because the action's already happened as the feeling is in motion. So it's amazing to say in hindsight, yes, I do follow my intuition, but at the time, it seems a bit mad to an outsider because there is no logical thought process, but it seems to work.
You take action. You're a doer.
I take action very, very quickly.
So how did becoming a mom change you, or maybe not, through that doer mentality?
I don't think it's changed me. Like in a celebratory way, maybe it made me feel more confident. But honestly, I'm like the same. My best friend just came to visit, who I've known since I was tiny. And she said the same thing. It's not changed you at all. You're exactly the same, but the kids are just there. It's like my little friends are just like here.
I absolutely love that. And I think just knowing, have you always been a very confident person in yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Not
Yeah.
not in like how I look or anything to do with that. I don't attach any confidence to any aesthetics. I've just been brought up to think that anything's possible. So I feel really confident in my abilities, even though I tend to not really have any skills or any qualifications or much education. I've got total delusional belief in my abilities.
Girl, and that's what makes it happen. I think that delusion with action is
Yeah.
where magic happens.
As the spaghetti is being thrown at the wall, that's where all the learning happens. But
Yeah.
everybody waits for the perfect plate and the perfect recipe to start the thing.
You'll
Like
never
last
start.
night, I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning writing a business plan, and I was kind of giggling to myself, thinking, this is what people do for 18 months before they start Dine Wilder. I'm just like, oh, let's do a dinner tomorrow. This is going to be on magazines. This is going to be this. And then 18 months in, what are we doing? Where are we going? Where's the structure?
What was happening in your life before the idea of Dine Wilder emerged?
I had 2 babies. I had Jack Wilder. It's actually his middle name, which is where the whole Wilder thing came from. And one of my besties that I met when I was 3 moved here from the UK, and we started a charcuterie business, Graze Wilder, when Jack was a couple of months old. So that launched me into owning my own business, which in itself is just a wild journey to do while you're, 12 weeks postpartum or whatever it was. It's a crazy experience. And it doesn't matter if you're running $1 million income generating business or you're selling 35 graze boxes on a Friday night. It's like all the same logistics, especially if you've got no team. So I had that with Rosie for a couple of years, and then I had Wilf, and I gave myself a secret little deadline of, well, when Wilf goes to school or we find some childcare when he turns 2, I need something. I need a career. And so I did this little self-assessment for 6 months a couple of years ago, and I didn't change my behavior. I just looked at the end of the day what I'd achieved on my list, what I'd ticked off, and what I was carrying over to the next day. And I realized everything had this golden thread of human connection, even if it was going to the post office or taking the kids to the supermarket. The dopamine hit was the contact with the stranger at the checkout. Anything that had no human connection, I wasn't doing, and I was carrying it over. So I thought, well, if I can build something that's just people facing and I outsource everything else, what if we just try to bootstrap a business from day one where we hire and we outsource everything in an industry that we're told is more wellness and lifestyle, and it's like a hobby. Like hosting isn't a job, the world tells me.
But I'm going to make it.
But I'm going to make it a profitable job because it's a service. Like, it's a total service that we're curing disconnect with the women that come to our table. So I'm also really determined to prove everybody wrong and say, no, this is a profession. Watch. That's where I was at. And I just decided to host a dinner in my garden or a brunch, but did everything right in that I hired a professional photographer and it was ticketed and all the things. Didn't have a clue what I was doing. And then, of course, it just escalated out of control. And at one point, there was like 10 days where we had 3 dinners. And everyone would say to me, what are you going to do when people get sick of these dinners? And I thought, well, the tickets are selling out in 2 hours. So at the moment, they're not sick of it. And I'm just being really selfishly trying to streamline everything behind the scenes and make as many mistakes as possible, as quick as possible. Not worrying about, like, I'm not claiming to know anything. And when you openly say, I'm learning, people are a little bit more patient with you. And also, it's to be expected that it's not perfect, And I think it's inspiring for those who want to start, whatever it is they're into without being ready. So I've been in the dinners and very much living, sleeping, breathing Dine Wilder, but also looking at it from above of like, this story is also tellable and sellable and teachable, of like just leaping before you're ready. So it's kind of both at once, feels like it's happening. I don't know.
Okay, quick pause because this is one of those things I genuinely love. February always makes me want to lean into comfort a little bit more. Slower mornings, earlier nights, cozy, everything. And Cozy Earth has fully become part of that in our house. First of all, they're pajamas. I can't even explain them properly except to say it feels like you're wearing nothing at all. They're so soft, lightweight, cozy, not restrictive, not overheating. I literally live in them at night and honestly half the morning too. And we are a huge blanket family, like year round, always wrapped in something. The classic cuddle blanket basically lives on our couch. It's plush, has that comfort without being too heavy, and the second you grab it, you just want to stay put. What I love most about Cozy Earth is how they make everyday moments at home feel more intentional. Better sleep, more comfort, those small things that actually help you slow down and feel taken care of. It's risk-free, which matters. They offer a 100-night sleep trial, and everything is backed by a 10-year warranty, which tells you a lot about the quality. If you're wanting to show a little extra love this month to yourself or someone you care about, head to cozyearth.com and use my code MOMENTUM for up to 20% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure you mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here. All right, back to it.
I can't agree more. I think we get so caught up in that freeze instead of doing when we overthink. And then that's where you just never do it. And so being able to throw yourself in, take those leaps, take the action and learn, it might look completely different a year from now, but you wouldn't have known how it should even look or it does look now if you didn't even just start.
Totally.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So now you're at the dinner table.
Yeah.
What do you find women walk in carrying? And maybe when they leave, what's the shift?
I think they walk in often feeling nervous. And again, it's this polarity of the dinner looking so perfect in its marketing. I love marketing and branding. And so it has to look a certain way, and we deserve for it to look a certain way. But then if you are not feeling your best, you start this storytelling of, I don't know if I belong at the dinner table. I don't know if I've got the right outfit. I don't know if X, Y, and Z. And I flip between knowing never to persuade someone to come because you need to just show up when you're ready, and also wanting to say to them, just come. Because if you walk in within 2 seconds, when myself or one of the girls takes your coat and we offer you a drink and I give you a cuddle, knowing that you feel nervous and I purposely introduce you to somebody else, literally within those 10 seconds, all of that has disappeared. They're shocked, and I think they're quite surprised at how welcoming the space is. It seems to bring out the most friendly, amazing people, no matter their job title, no matter if they have children or dogs or a partner or not. Everyone's there for the same purpose of connecting in a totally different way. And I think they often feel surprised when I encourage them to adhere to the dress code or pull out their best dress that they haven't worn in years, that they have no occasion to wear it for. I think they feel a bit silly doing it. And then when they walk in the room, they carry themselves differently and they realize, like, do you know what? We deserve to be celebrated. Like, why on earth am I dressing a certain way? Which is brilliant if you feel amazing in those clothes. But if you don't, we're allowed to change it. Like, we're in control.
Get out of those Lulus and actually like feel good about yourself.
And again, I never want it to sound, I do get dressed up because that's how I feel good. It would be more amazing if I felt good just rolling out of bed, but I don't. And actually, do you know what? Loads of people don't feel good just rolling out of bed and straight into their day. So I'm feeling a bit more confident in saying, do you know what? Just take a bit of time for yourself, just 10 minutes. It's incredible what we can achieve in 10 minutes for ourselves.
What's the best part of this when you bring people together? Like when you leave and you're like I did that. What's your best part of that evening?
I love floating around the room and just picking up on different conversations from people who I don't think would have met or given each other the time of day for a conversation. And I really feel passionately about intergenerational tables, and there's not many scenarios other than anything connected with your own family, Christmas or wedding, where an 18-year-old would be sat next to a 70-year-old. It's not that common. I can't find many events where that exists. And so both parties often come thinking they have nothing to offer. And then they realise they both have so much to offer one another. And so I'm quite intentional with the seating plan of really mixing up the ages. When you put people all the same age, they're all like little human experiments. It's so fun. When you put similar people at the table, there's actually the least that comes from the conversation. So I love those little moments. And it's so cool, obviously, watching people swapping contact information, and there's so many stories. It's like immeasurable and hard for me to quantify the ripple that's been felt through Dine. Even in Vancouver the other day, I walked past someone who's a bookkeeper, I didn't know she was, with a business owner that had met at a previous Dine dinner in Squamish, and they now work together. And it's just like, I can't even like bottle that up and tell the world, but I see it and I feel it and I know it.
Where did this come from? Like, can you picture or remember a time in your like childhood where you sat with that older generation or something that you're like, I know that this needs to happen at my tables?
It's never been a conscious thought. It's just the only way that I've ever known and been brought up. I'm an only child, and my mum has a canal boat. So we would live on that canal boat from Friday night at 4:00 till Monday morning every single week, and then all summer. That was our vacation, just cruising around the canals of the UK. And you meet the most interesting characters via the canal system. And so we would have like little family meetings of, who are you taking on holiday? And I could never pick. So we would meet at different train stations every week, and different families and parents would swap their children back and forth with one another so that they could join at different parts of the vacation on the canal. But obviously there was a lot of time where I was on my own as well. And my mum hosted folk clubs, and they're very musical and play guitars. And the nature of the canal community is that everyone is together. And, you know, you've got the kettle on or you're cooking. It's just very normal that the boat next door would share the meal. And the boat is 57 feet, but the kitchen's tiny and it's obviously very skinny. I think you guys call it a barge, do you?
Yes, but I have been on a canal boat when I was younger in France. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it is.
My mum would cook for like 30 people, which is never done in a canal boat kitchen.
Oh
And
my
we would
gosh.
all sit on the towpath, on the canal path. Everyone would just line up with mismatching plates. Whoever they are, we just met them at the pub 2 minutes ago. And so it's the only way I know how to be. And the house was just full of strangers who I'd never met. It was very, very normal. And I think it's also made me very trusting of people. Even with my children, actually, I notice I have so much trust for the world and how people are going to interact with my children, because it's all I've known is safe spaces with tens and tens of strangers that I don't know the names of. And they would all just look after me like I was their daughter. And in every room, people would be playing different instruments. So it's actually such a blessing, I think, because in the supermarket, I want my kids talking and touching everyone else that's shopping.
What do you think we're losing when we stop this connection, this gathering in person?
I think
with so much of a virtual world, right?
Yeah, the trust of strangers, actually, I've never thought about it until right now, but the trust of strangers, probably in mums, creates a bit of anxiety in us because we're not supposed to raise our children on our own. And families are so insular now for so many reasons. We don't know the names of all our neighbours. And to me, that's really strange and creates stress for me, because the kids then have to play in the house because you don't want them playing on the street because no one else is watching them. Little things like that. It's just like, it's all community, right? And we wouldn't know where our kids were. And I love that. And I'm told not to be so trusting and not to live that way, but it feels better to me. to know that the kids have jumped over the fence and they're playing next door and they're with the old lady on her acreage and all, you know.
And you find that community, I think, right? Like when that's something that is important to you, I'm sure you've found that niche in Squamish, and I've found that niche for our kids here where we live also in North Van. And there's pockets where it's still like, this is how we were raised, and I would like to raise our kids this way. And you know your neighbors and you're friends with your neighbors, and just that longing for connection.
Yeah, and our dinner topic on Tuesday night was Dine Wonder. So it was all about childlike wonder. Again, I haven't really connected this, but I think as the kids watch me move through the world, giving strangers time in a coffee shop, at the gas station, wherever, it makes them maybe feel safer and part of a larger world rather than just our family. And there's this poem, I'd have to find it, but my mum used to read it to me, and it was all about being a mum and raising a bird with such a safe nest that they would always want to return. But the whole purpose of being a mum is that their wings fly and they leave the nest. So I've grown up with that, thinking that my purpose is that my boys are confident enough to not need me. And I notice some mums, that feels quite triggering, the thought of the kids not needing them, because their whole purpose is attached to being the mum, and they've lost themselves and put this mum hat on and think that we have to just give to these kids. And then when they leave the nest, there's a lot of women that come to the dinner table who are in that point where their kids have gone to college. And of course, I'm going to feel like this as well. But I think even more so, you think, oh my God, what's my purpose? Who am I? Like, what am I doing in this world? Whereas I think if you can maybe keep hold of yourself a little bit more and be the role model to say, no, I'm doing this today, or no, I'm taking a minute, or empowering them with such tiny decisions at 3 years old of go and get yourself dressed, go and pick your own outfit. My kids
allow them to want you as they grow, not need you, because you've done such a great job.
Yeah.
And the relationship then changes too, right? Like our son is not living at home anymore now, and we still talk to him like multiple times a day because he calls us, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a need. He's wanting to still be connected. And I think that for women, for moms, having a purpose, you nailed it, is so important. Quick pause. And I want to speak directly to you for a second. If you've been listening to this podcast thinking, this hits, but I need support actually applying it, that's exactly why I built the Momentum Collective. It's a coaching space for women who don't want more information. They want clarity, accountability, and real forward movement. Inside, we focus on building momentum in your health, your mindset, your goals, and your life without burning yourself out. If you're ready to stop circling the same goals and start taking consistent action, the Momentum Collective might be exactly what you've been looking for. You can find all the details in the show notes. Okay, back to the episode. Have you ever felt guilt for wanting that purpose or connection outside of motherhood?
No, because I think too, and I don't know whether my mum will ever listen to this, we've not talked about it, but I think one thing I did watch is that my mum put everyone else first and didn't make any time for herself. Unfortunately, I now really want to do it all because I want to give as much as she gave, but I also want to feel good in myself and not lose myself. So I'm trying to do both at once. What I did used to do when I'd had Jack is I kind of wore it as a badge of honor that I would never need any time for myself. And then when I'd had Wilf, I realized, oh no, I'm a better mum if I take the run on my own. And because I've been so with the kids and there's no lines, there's no separation between my work and the kids. They are so involved in it. They thrive being involved, so it doesn't feel separate. But because of that, I would do all of my exercise with them, and I love showing them that. But now I know also it's healthy to have a minute on your own.
It's so needed, right? That's where you can get quiet and find that creativity and that love and that spark for all of the things that are so important to you also. But allowing your kids to watch you and lead by example, and what an example you're leading for them.
I also don't want my boys to just think that I'm put on this planet to be their servant. Like, I want them to grow up and want a partner who is fun and like has fun and values that, and it's not frivolous, and it's not, you know, a nicety, like I don't know what the word is, but it's essential to have fun, you know?
Oh my gosh, I agree. When people are like, "Oh, what's like the most important thing in finding your person or whatever?" I'm like, "Don't ever stop laughing." Right? Like that is so important in life. You need to find joy.
So
Yeah.
much joy. And I literally say the words to my 5 and 3-year-old, like, I'm not put on this planet to clean your bedroom every single day. I do it most days, but like, go in there and clean it yourself. I want them to be gritty and hardworking, and like, it's so stupid probably because they're so little, but I think toddlers are the most helpful human beings on this planet. And we skip that and we do everything for them. And then suddenly they become teens or like, you know, a little bit older. And we start with all of these chore charts and we suddenly expect that they're going to become team members of the house. Why would they when they've just been guests, you know?
Well said. Oh my
So,
gosh. Yes.
like, no, we all live here together. We're all a team. Like, you help me. So that's what we're trying. Me in 10 years when it's gone.
It all ebbs and flows. What are you craving more of right now as a woman? Not just as a founder, but for you.
What am I craving? I am so pathetically obsessed with what I do. If I'm ever able to have a spare moment, my luxury in life is like undisturbed screen time. I feel like you're not supposed to say that. We're supposed to say that
You can say whatever you want.
oh my God, if I could ever sneak out the house, or if my husband, God love him, is trying to persuade me to go to the spa, I don't want to. I want to just go to a coffee shop with my earphones in and just, that's my version of creativity. And that's where I get lost in writing and the marketing and the dreaming and the vision. That's like my favorite thing, is to just be sat with ChatGPT for hours. What do you think about this? How do we do this? What's the wildest thing we could do to shock people and bring them together in person? So yeah, really pathetic. I would love more screen time where it's not in 10-minute pockets and I'm also mum at the same time and also doing all these things and planning.
I want some insight into your chat GPT. I'd love to be like, okay, what is she asking now? What does that look like? I'm so excited.
I just want to really lean into the brand name this year and quiet the noise a little bit, because when you're creating something different than has been done before, I've got so many amazing people around me and so many opinions because I'm so open and willing to receive feedback. Sometimes it gets a little bit noisy. And so I need to just sit with my own vision a little bit. So I'm going to lean into Dine Wilder and do things that are a bit different and maybe push the boundaries a little bit. We've just started a business panel called The Wilder Side of Small Business.
Yeah.
And honestly, the last one we did really tested me because I'm not a born moderator. But I've thrown myself into the fire, and by the end of the year, I want to be known. Like, I want someone to host a panel and think, oh, we'll have to have Emily as the moderator. But at the moment, I'm not good at it.
How do you think you're not good at it? I'm sure. I think you're being probably very self-critical because it's something new for you.
I think because I get so invested in what someone's saying and I can empathize with everybody of extremely opposing opinions to myself, I'm in their story and not in the room. And so I need to find a way of getting back into the body of the host and not listening so deeply and reading the room a little bit better and finding a way to very politely move things along.
I think that's beautiful, though, that you are in the story. But I also hear you as needing to quiet the ones that need to move things along, too. That is very hard when you really are more of that empathic, want to listen, really get into things. It is hard. Yes.
I really want to create spaces that look and feel beautiful and elevated and elegant, where there's long-tabled candles and you've got a beautiful crystal glass in your hand, but where people don't agree. and we can just have open conversation, because there's a lot of events, incredible events and amazing things happening in Vancouver and on the Sea to Sky. But I do often find that they are full of, I find this term difficult, like-minded women. Then it's a bit like the algorithm. It feeds you what you already believe in, and then it doesn't challenge your opinion. And we are all now told, I think, that we need to think one or the other, and we don't want to listen to the other side of it anymore. But everyone, I think, in general, is just doing their best. And
I think that's where the like mind comes in, right? Like,
yeah,
we're all just doing our best. And if we're able to open up and just feel safe with permission in a space that we can say whatever we need to, that we will be held in some way, because by speaking your truth and your voice, someone always needs to hear that.
yeah, it's true.
And it doesn't need to land with everyone.
Absolutely. That's what everyone said when they left the panel. It felt so safe to speak and share our opinion, even though the room might have not agreed with it. And I thought, oh, perfect. But it's not that normal that a space would look that way, and that we're not all being agreeable, because quite often women will hold their opinions in, and then you get home and you tell your husband, or you call your best friend the next day and say, can you believe what she said? Oh, I didn't like what she said. Why can't we just say it in person? I don't think I agree, and this is why, but I'm open to hearing a different side of it. Tell me why you think that.
Learning, growth.
Boundary a little bit. Like, it's
I
called Dine
love
Wilder. We just do what we want and we break the rules a bit. So we're going to do more of that this year.
So Dine Wilder has grown so quickly. So what do you think brands are really responding to? I know you want to do more collabs, more expansion, partnerships.
Yeah. Again, before the first brunch in my garden, I could see that this was brand activations and partnership and sponsorship and all the things. But rather than jump at any of these alignments from the beginning that have been offered, I thought, if I'm in this for the long game and I'm not just like trying to make a book right now, I think it's very important who you say yes to aligning with, because once you've done it, you're going to be associated with it. It's very hard to break that association. So I decided to not focus on the bottom line and focus on creating this very intentional brand with really core values, community, connection. And now I think we can be really particular about who we align with and the founders' why and their purpose. And in a day and age where we are inundated with information, it's so noisy, and attention and time is the most valued commodity. The best way to have your brand marketed and experienced is to have 30 people around the dinner table, looking, tasting, feeling, talking about it, meeting the founder in person. The ripple of that and the depth of that storytelling marketing is so much greater than you putting X amount behind an Instagram ad, which is going to get more reach, but how much of that reach actually converts? We've been working with Birch Babe. Kelsey, the founder, I don't know if you know her, she also lives in North Van's, incredible. And the amount of people that have stopped me on the street to say, oh my God, every time we go in the store now, we buy Birch Babe because we know the founder and it feels so personal, the connection. And it's because they took her face serum home and it sat on their bathroom counter, and it wasn't a quick transaction. They've got to know it and become familiar with it. And I think that's where it's all moving to. I think that is more valuable to a brand than just firing out content online.
Yeah, totally. Connection builds loyalty.
Yeah.
Because you're leaving with a feeling, and it's a true experience, right? Not just a feeling from a photograph. I love what you're building.
Thank you. I can't wait to have dinner.
I can't wait either. So in this stage, what does success look like for you right now?
I think just happiness day to day. Such a cliche, but you have to enjoy the process as a founder and creating something. All of the wheels fall off when you hold this goal in such high regard, or whatever it is you've decided you want to get to. Well, by the time you've got there, that's probably shifted by 10 anyway. And then you're looking around thinking, oh, I've got all of these things and all of this money and all that, all of this fame and fortune. And for what? Like, so much unhappiness, I think, comes at that point. So I think the key is to enjoying the process and just knowing all of it is stretching you and growing you and learning, and the discomfort and the problem solving. If you can get behind that, and by the end of the day, you go to bed feeling like you've solved a problem or you've changed someone's day, that feels pretty successful to me. A few things got thrown at me yesterday and I just needed to take a minute to gather my thoughts. And by the time I'd gone to bed, I thought, well, you did well there. In the face of discomfort and the challenge, you didn't panic. You just knew it was all part of the process. Yeah. And obviously
learning, right? The growth that you're doing, you're jumping, but every time you jump, you learn and grow further.
Yeah.
So if connection truly is our new luxury, what's one small way that she could choose it this week, the woman listening?
I think it's a muscle that you can flex. And I build my dinners. I'm so extroverted, but I build them for the most introverted person. The smallest detail of handing you something, the moment you walk in, it's not about a wine or whatever it is. It's about having a prop and stopping you feeling awkward with your hands. Like, we think of so many tiny details like that. So the thought of when I tell someone, just go and speak to a stranger in a coffee shop and say, like, tell me something. Like, I just do that with everyone. Tell me something. And they're like what? And I think anything. And the stories people pull out of their minds. They're sat with their husbands, and some of the stories that they will pull from nowhere, once they realise you're not absolutely crazy, or they accept it, they often haven't told the partner the story. It's wild what comes out of people's minds that they just want to share, and they're always shocked by it. So telling someone to do that sounds very abstract. So I think even just getting to know the name of the person that serves your coffee every morning, or like spending an extra minute at school drop off in the classroom with someone else's kid, it's just like, as you do it, as you walk past the stranger on the street and smile, it becomes a bit addictive, because you do get a little dopamine hit, because we are supposed to make eye contact.
Yeah.
So even those tiny, tiny things, I think, change our day.
I agree. And again, finding that joy in it. But like, I live with one acronym, HOPE. So it's help one person every day. And that can be so big or so little. And as you said, just starting a conversation, smiling at someone, holding a door open. They seem so little because we've gotten away from the basics.
People pick up on your energy too. So if you're moving through the world in that way, everyone else responds in the same way to you, which, can you hear the train going past?
Yeah, that's fine. My dogs are usually barking. We're all good.
It invites people to behave in the same way to you, which creates this ripple. And as I'm moving through the world and telling stories of what's happened in my day, everyone's response is, only you, or like, how did that happen to you? And I think because I'm open to it,
because you're open,
yeah. I'm out in public, I'm really conscious that I'm building this all online, but you can't get away from the why of the in-person. And so when I am in person, I'm ignoring everything else going on, much to people's dismay, but I'm in person. So you just can't quantify all of the amazing things that happen when you start speaking to people.
I love that. So what is next for Dine Wilder and Emily?
Next is to gain a little bit of structure in my year, in that I am so spontaneous, but in order to not necessarily scale, but in order to create some predictability for the guests, for the vendors and partners and brands, we need a bit more consistency, other than Emily speaking to someone in Starbucks. They own this amazing clothing store. Oh, we're doing a dinner next week and I know it'll sell. Like, in order to create a very strong structure for the business, I need to lock in the dinners 6 months ahead of time in order to find the perfect brand alignments. So that's what we're doing at the minute. We're mapping out the year which I'm told will allow for all of the spontaneity to be slotted in as well. So that's what I'm trying to do, which feels a bit uncomfortable because I like to just let magic unfold, but it's not helpful for everyone else on your team.
I think that's beautiful though, because you'll find some pillars that are really important through the year, and then you still have your spontaneity for yourself.
Yeah.
So where can everyone find you? I will put everything in the show notes, but I've just loved our conversation and thank you for being here.
Thank you. I feel like I've known you for ages. I felt like that even when we started speaking online.
I know, likewise.
I'm very active on Instagram, and there's a lot of children content as well while we're building the businesses with the babies on our backs, at our feet, all the things. So I'm Emily Wilder on Instagram and Dine Wilder Events.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Gosh, I can't wait to be at all of the Dine Wilders, and for everyone listening, you better be there too.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. If today's conversation resonated, then ask yourself what one small action you can take from it. Because momentum isn't built in big, dramatic moments. It's built in a quiet follow-through, the honest choices, and the decision you make when no one's watching. If you loved this episode, the best way to support the show is to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you don't have to choose between showing up for your life and going after your potential. This is your permission to stop playing small. I'll see you next time.